Let's get to know your candidate. Senatorial aspirant Win Gatchalian joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Sherwin. Thank you for coming to the show. You were also a TOIM awardee.
Yes.
All right.
I think
Yes.
it's 2012.
Yeah, so you won the Outstanding Young Men Awards at
Yes.
one point, I'm
Yes.
presuming for public service.
For public service.
You have a 76% awareness, am I right with that number right now?
Yes, more or
And
less.
what do you think was the secret? I mean, you are, you're known, I think, I would have to say, in Manila, in your district, but all over the Philippines. What did it take? Was it political
Karen,
ads?
I remember when we started about 2-3 years ago, my rank was number 52.
Wow.
Ang layo. I was at the 4th page. And it was very difficult to introduce myself because I'm a local official. I'm not a national figure.
Yeah.
So it's ano lang talaga, hard work, and I think at the end of the day, to be realistic, media exposure also plays a very important role.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I want to be direct with you. I mean, Lenny Robredo admitted she had spent, not she personally, but close to 100 million.
Right,
That's
right.
why her awareness level had reached 91%.
Yes.
Alan Cayetano, although he contests this,
Right.
was registered at 400 million already
Right,
for
right.
TV ads. How much have you spent? What's
Okay,
registered?
from TV ads and everything, about 60 to 80 million pesos.
Already.
This is prior to the campaign
Yes.
period, no? And we have to invest in building my brand. It's really like marketing and business. You have to build your brand. So we advertised, introduced myself, went on radio, and to make sure that people will know the brand and will know the advocacy.
Oh, now you are a new name when it comes to the national race.
Yes.
And frankly speaking, you're considered a fresh face, and many people are looking for fresh faces. What I found interesting during the ANC rundown that I want you to expound is you are a believer that state colleges and universities in the Philippines should be free.
Yes.
And actually, you have Bernie Sanders saying that in the U.S.
Yes.
It's a major campaign issue
Right,
in the
right.
U.S.
In fact, Bernie Sanders came out with an online video explaining this story.
Yeah, but Sherwin, can we afford that?
Yes, Karen, very simple mathematics. No? We have 1.5 million students studying in our state universities and colleges. We only need about 15 billion pesos to finance the existing students. If we divide 15 billion over 3 trillion pesos, our budget is hitting 3 trillion this year. That's only 0.5%. So with less than 1%, you can actually finance the studies of that 1.5 million students. So maliit lang siya.
Yeah.
This year, the increase in income is about 300 billion pesos. So we're just asking 15 billion out of that 300 billion pesos.
Now, some people may ask you, why did Win Gatchalian suggest that as a congressman?
That's my experience in Valenzuela City. I actually filed a bill to that effect. It was approved in the committee level.
Really?
Unfortunately, because of lack of time.
And that takes a lot of lobbying.
A lot of lobbying, exactly, especially with money, with funds. No? But in Valenzuela, that's our experience. No? Over the past 15 years, we have about 58,000 scholars.
How did you spend for that? I was going to ask you.
We built 2 schools, and that's the key. Building 2 schools and making it very affordable, almost free. And at the same time, we also expanded our scholarship program.
But where did you get the money?
Local.
How?
Venezuela earns about, I think, 3.2 billion pesos a year.
Okay.
So we channeled about 30% of our funds to education, especially tertiary education. I'm a firm believer of tertiary education, college education. I can see the transformation of the family from someone without college education and someone with college education. In our studies, income increases by 4-fold with the person who graduated from college education compared to someone who didn't graduate from college. So 4-fold kaagad yung income niya. And the tax return is also big. We computed about 1.5 years in terms of return to government. Because if you earn above minimum wage or above the tax bracket, you pay government. But if you didn't graduate from college, you earn less, you don't pay government.
Now, if let's say you win a Senate seat and you do push, which I think is frankly revolutionary and quite innovative to push for this idea, my question is, how much would the government have to set aside every year just for tuition to be free?
Actually, Karen, it's not even unique. No? In Europe, there's Germany also already made their state universities for free. A lot of European countries are also doing the same. In America, that's a main campaign advocacy in the States. No? So it's not unique. No? It's probably revolutionary here in our country, but it's not unique. It's because of the income of the graduate. It's really about the income of the graduate. 4 times compared to someone who didn't graduate from college.
So how much would we need to set aside in the budget for something like
15 billion. Our computation is 15 billion. It's not so big, no? 15 billion. It's not so big. So, of course, the next question is how to expand that, no? Because we have about 5 million kids who are not in college and they want to go to college. And in the survey, those 5 billion will tell you that they cannot afford to go to college. So the next is really how to expand that, improve access over time.
Okay. Now you were also a broker. I mean, you were a trader.
Yes.
All right, for 2 years. So you played around in the stock market, and you were.
I'm a finance graduate.
Yeah. So technically, I'd have to say you're well equipped in that sense. And one of the things you want is for the SSS and GSIS to actually go public. You want it publicly listed.
Yep. Karen, financial analysts are ruthless people. They will dissect companies like surgery.
Yeah.
And what's happening right now is all of our government-owned and controlled corporations are regulated by GCG, the Governance Council, which is created by law. But there's no check and balance. This is a government entity regulating and checking another government entity.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is all of these GOCCs, SSS, Land Bank, DBT, everyone, go public. Let the private
what
sector.
What will happen if it's public? I mean, give me an idea.
Well, it will be controlled by the government still, owned and controlled by government. But the public can participate.
I see. So they can put money in.
They can put money in. They
if
can
let's
buy.
say you're happy with the performance of SSS, here
Yes.
I am. I'm an investor. I can put in money. That's a good one.
Karen, I saw on Facebook that I think some of the board members there receive 20 million a year. That's 2 million a month.
Yeah.
And then
Are you serious for SSS?
That's what I saw on Facebook.
Okay.
And then you see the receivables is only being collected. I think 30% is only being collected.
Yeah.
In the private sector, that's a
Hindi pwede yun.
No, the analysts will already flag, will issue a red flag. No? But nobody's issuing a red flag because government is regulating another government entity. So I think another innovation is to let all of these GOCs go public. Let the private sector, the 200 plus analysts in our country, dissect them, issue reports, and see if these companies are being managed properly or not.
That's a good idea. What would that take?
It takes political will. And it's a policy decision also for the next
Because I was going to say, just the talk of privatizing public hospitals, the word privatization alone puts people in a panic.
But the government can still own majority of the shares. No? They can own 51, they can own 60, but public now can participate. They can buy. And if these companies are profitable, managed well, then let the public buy and own the company. There's now a sense of ownership also from the public. But the most important here is, I really believe PSE is a very efficient private regulator.
Yeah.
And it really regulates disclosures, transparency, and even profitability of the company.
Okay. Now, clearly, if you do win a Senate seat, you're going to be one of the young faces with a background in finance. So it's actually quite refreshing to have someone like that. What do you think of the income tax reform? Can we afford it or not?
I think it's about time, Karen, because 1997 was the last time we created that bracket. And because of inflation, everything is moving up. What is happening now, the middle class being penalized. The middle class is paying exactly the same amount of tax compared to the billionaires of this country. So it's just a matter of being fair, to the middle class and to everyone. So it's about time to reform the tax bracket of our country.
Okay. Now, you and your brother, Rex Gatchalian, who's the spokesperson right now for MPC, you grew up having your father in the spotlight to a degree, no? I mean, your father was once tagged as being one of the close friends of former President Erap Estrada, and during the time that Erap was taken out of office, your dad's name was always mentioned as one of the members of the Midnight Cabinet, so and so, this and that, DW. I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, did you think you could have a career?
For me, I what I saw in my dad is, pag friends kayo. But it doesn't mean you're friends to agree to whatever your friends are doing, you know. There's a limit to friendship also. And I think what I got from him is really, you have to stay very loyal to your friends. But loyal doesn't mean that you agree to what they are doing. And I think that's one of the I guess, good things that I've learned from him.
Yeah, but is your father and end up in good terms?
Yes.
Are they now, I wanted to ask you, how did you get out of that shadow?
To be honest, Karen, when I was younger, when I was studying in college, I wanted to start my own business career. You know? I've always wanted to do something on my own. I studied finance, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that actually led me also to joining government, you know, because I realized that entrepreneurs in this country are treated poorly, especially the small and medium enterprises. If you talk to the SMEs of this country, isa lang sasabihin nila, ang hirap kumuha ng permits. You have to talk to fixers to get your permits. It's very difficult to run a business here.
Now, before we talk about what you plan to do with entrepreneurs, I mean, Bam Aquino started, I think he initiated the Go Negosyo bill.
It's a very good project.
Absolutely.
Good project.
And I was going to ask you first about your brother. The ombudsman filed a case against your brother for the Kentex fire. Rex being the mayor of Valenzuela. What's your take on that? Do you see that as political harassment?
For me, it's purely politics. No? For two reasons. Number one, 144 cities in this country is issuing provisional permits, just like Valenzuela City. So why single out Valenzuela City? Second, Secretary Robredo issued a memorandum circular allowing provisional permits to be issued by the LGUs because nga, kulang ang mga bumbero natin na mag-check and issue fire permits. No? So what happened is, Secretary Robredo allowed the LGUs to issue provisional permit, and then the fire chiefs should check those establishments after issuing a provisional permit. That's why it's provisional.
So you believe really that this is political harassment?
This is political. This happened. NPC announced its support to Senator Grace Cheese on Monday. That order came out, I think, yesterday, Wednesday. So I think it's politics.
Okay. Now, if you win a Senate seat, I want to ask you, will you support the change in the charter? I mean, this is Speaker Sonny Belmonte tried to push this, it didn't fly. 17th Congress, should this be a priority?
I think two things, Karen. I do believe that we have to amend the economic provisions of the Constitution. We have one of the most restrictive constitution in terms of ownership of industries, including some sectors like education. How can we promote education and innovation if institutions like Stanford or Harvard cannot set up here?
Oh, that's interesting. So are you trying to say that if we change the charter, you can have them come in?
You can have them set up research facilities here.
Because when it comes to education now, you have to be purely Filipino.
Purely Filipino,
Except, what about IS?
I think they're given special charters.
Yes.
But as part of the constitution, it has to be purely Filipino.
Okay. Next.
But the second one, Karen, and I don't agree with this, is foreign land ownership. There are many researches being done in Africa, especially, that if you allow foreign land ownership to enter, allow foreigners to buy land, in the short term, farmers would sell their land for a higher price. They'll make money, but in the long run, they'll become jobless because they're low skills.
So you don't agree?
No, I don't agree in foreign land ownership.
Do you agree with long lease? I mean, Thailand is like that to foreigners.
You can do that now naman. So, but in terms of ownership, it's very dangerous for us now. I think it will lead to massive unemployment in the long run.
So not land?
No, not land.
Not land.
Only industries, only sectors.
Okay, industries and sectors. Was President Aquino right in vetoing the SSS pension hike?
1,200 will not.
2,000.
2,000 additional, but the pensioners receive 1,200 right now. Some medicines lang, maintenance medicine, hypertension medicine, it's not enough.
But can the SSS afford it?
I think so.
I mean, you're a finance guy.
Okay.
They have an actuariat who said no, remember?
If you are collecting only 30% of your receivables, you're gonna go bankrupt talaga. No? You're supposed to collect 100%. At the very least, at least naman industry standard, probably 70%, but not 30%. At the same time, their cost, no, their overhead is about 8% of their total revenues.
Yeah.
If you compare that to Malaysia, the other state pensions, they're running, I think, about 2 to 3% lang. So this is 3 times higher. No? Their cost is heavier. If you look at nga, what's painful pa, no? They're giving themselves millions of bonus for doing mismanagement, for doing nothing. No?
So your argument, in a way, is if SSS is publicly listed, this won't happen.
Yes, if it's publicly
SSS will
listed,
be forced to
if you
correct
ask
more.
the 200 plus financial analysts in PSE to dissect this company, definitely red flags will be raised sooner.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll continue our conversation with senatorial aspirant Win Gatchalian. Know your candidate. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Know your candidate. We have with us senatorial aspirant Win Gatchalian. Before we get to the issues, the COMELEC is thinking of actually either blocking some parts of Pacquiao's fight. Walden Bello filed a case against it. I think there's one pending in the Supreme Court now. What's your take on it?
Karen, I'm a candidate also, and I know what it takes to promote yourself, to bring out the brand, to strengthen the brand.
Actually get national awareness.
And for me, showing that fight is really another brand building.
You feel it's unfair?
I think it's unfair for us, the candidates. There are about 50 plus candidates running, and we are all following the COMELEC rules, and I think everyone should do so.
Do you want to file a case? I'm
I
curious.
think Congressman already did.
Yeah. Okay. But you do believe it is unfair?
I think that should be heard. That should be talked about, and COMELEC should look at this seriously.
Okay. Should he be disqualified? I want to ask you, because Pacquiao said he will push through with the fight.
It's really up to the COMELEC. I think let the COMELEC do its job, and I think they're very clear naman on what they can do and what candidates cannot do. So let's wait for the COMELEC to decide.
Okay. All right. Now the death penalty is another contentious issue. I think with the rise in crime and specifically drugs. Drugs coming into the ASEAN, and not just the Philippines, but the ASEAN as a whole. You have President Widodo of Indonesia already executing, frankly speaking, foreigners that have been convicted in the past. What is your take?
It's really disheartening, no? When you see drug lords doing business inside the New Bilibid prison. They're actually, I get some information from the field that they're actually thriving and making a lot of money inside the prison.
Because they're protected
and
inside.
And this is billions going around the system. And I really believe that we should bring back that penalty for big-time drug lords, big-time drug dealers.
Local ba and foreign sa'yo? Saan kasi may gusto foreign lang?
Hindi naman tayo pwedeng mamili Baka yumaman naman yung local. So, it has to be for all. Everyone who's caught dealing big-time drugs, I think should be put to death.
Now, how is that your candidate, your presidential candidate, Senator Grace Poe, is against the death penalty? And actually, even Senator Cheese, he actually supported, he signed to abolish the death penalty, I think, in 2006.
Karen, all of us naman have different perspectives and beliefs. And at the end of the day, we will have to debate about that. I believe in her programs, in her advocacies, but definitely hindi naman lahat will be the same. So we will leave that to discussion and to debates.
Okay, all right. The anti-dynasty bill that President Aquino said it's time to actually prioritize this. Would you consider Gatchalian as a dynasty already?
Karen.
Well, your brothers.
Yes, my brothers. I for all my public sector life, I've strengthened and believe in strengthening check and balances. I truly believe that in all levels of government, national, local, check and balance should be strengthened. And if we can introduce new innovations, then so be it. That's why if the anti-dynasty bill will be talked in the Senate or Congress, I would support it, because I truly believe that in many levels of government, the dynasties really weaken the check and balances of our system. And really have to make sure that check and balances are maintained, strengthened, and even improved over time.
Okay. BBL.
I believe in a framework for long-term peace. I believe that, I don't want to call it BBL because it's
now Bill
maraming names.
But
a framework that should comply with our constitution, inclusive consultation. This is the most important. So all of us want long-term peace for Muslim Mindanao.
If I were to ask you, Sherwin, what is the one law that we need or the one law that you would like to amend to actually have the economy, competing already with our Asian neighbors? I mean, you have a slowdown of China at 8%, and that's a slowdown. Can you imagine us? We're so proud at a growth of 6%.
Okay.
What do we need?
I've coined this acronym. It's called AIN, A-I-N.
Okay.
And my advocacy is to put a lot of government's resources in these three things.
Okay.
Agriculture, infrastructure, and manpower.
Okay.
Manpower being human development. And this
Agriculture,
infrastructure, and manpower.
Okay.
We have to put a lot of our resources in these three things. Agriculture is a low-hanging fruit for the monkeys.
And there was very minimum growth during
Almost zero. Almost zero growth in the agriculture.
Not even 1% in the last 5 years.
50 to 60% of our manpower is in agriculture.
Yeah.
So just imagine boosting it by 1%. You boost income by almost that 60% working in the agriculture sector.
So do you need something new for that? I mean, I'm curious. Is there a role of a senator for that, or that's purely policy driven? I mean, that's purely executive.
Sa akin, it starts with a strategy. Let's come up with a very serious strategy, not a political strategy in agriculture. So for example, if this area is productive, then let's invest in that area to make it more productive. We're losing to smuggling. We're losing to smuggling because of the price difference between the goods coming inside. And it's just very tempting for smugglers to bring in the goods because ang laki ng price difference. And that's because of productivity. Our productivity is
very low. Okay. All right. Now, when you say infra, are you satisfied? I mean, you were still in the 16th Congress. I think, did you guys allot the biggest? They said 5% of GDP?
Yes, but kulang pa rin eh. I think we should raise it to 7 to 8% of GDP.
But what about absorptive capacity? I mean, can we actually really build?
Absorptive capacity is hinged on how big your bureaucracy is. No? You have to really improve and increase the manpower in, let's say, DPWH. Kung you have the same manpower and then you're funneling in a lot of funds, then talagang hindi niya ma-execute yan. That's what happened in Valenzuela. When we increased our budget for infrastructure, and then we only have X amount of engineers, talagang hindi nila ma-execute yan. So you need to have good planning and increase your bureaucracy to absorb that much funds coming in.
All right. Now, if I were to ask you your feedback on how President Aquino's administration performed, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would it be?
I would say 6, Karen. First, I really believe in leadership by example.
Okay.
And I think the President has demonstrated that he's serious in fighting corruption. It started with him. When I was a mayor, yun in aking advocacy. If you want to lead and fight corruption, it starts with you. And I think the President has demonstrated that. But we have to improve a lot pa.
But what were the weaknesses of his administration?
I think fighting corruption kasi got stuck in the higher levels. It has to go grassroots pa. Like I said earlier, small and medium enterprises are the easiest prey of corruption. And those people who apply for their business permit or pay their taxes in their local tax bureau, sila yung parating na pipeligro na
So how would you do it? I'm curious. You have Finance Secretary Cesar Polissima, of course, who's quite proud that we've increased our ranking in the ease of doing business in the World Economic Forum. But I mean, let's face it, we're nothing like Singapore, where in a day everything is given.
Malayo pa rin
I mean, we're not even in top 10 of the ease of doing business.
It.
What do we need to change very quickly?
Drawing from my experience from Valenzuela, we have to invest in automation.
Okay, automation.
Automation is the key. Invest in technology. And just to give an example, Karen, in the local government code, which was created in 1991, that's the Bible of all local governments. Nothing in the local government code mentioned internet, technology, IT office. So how can we move forward if the Bible doesn't say all of this new technology?
So you have
basic
to change that.
We have to amend the law and include technology in the daily activities of the local government.
Okay, now, what can you say about the PPP projects? I mean, this was this was something that the Aquino administration was quite proud of when he was starting off. I think, I don't know if they introduced 10
Right.
or 20, I can't even remember anymore.
Yes, yes.
And then, what do you think happened?
I think that should be continued with the next administration. It's number one, a major source of income for the government. Number two, it multiplies your infrastructure capability. But if I'm to recommend, we have to expand that office.
Yeah.
We have to churn out projects fast and quickly, because 6 years is too short. If you churn out projects once a year, you're not going to get anywhere. So we have to really make it faster.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, this is the one. Well, it's not pending yet, but there's a lot of talk on it. Same-sex marriage.
I'm against same-sex marriage, Karen. I think we discussed
Yes,
it.
yes. In UP also.
I'm against same-sex marriage, but I'm also against discrimination.
Okay.
And I would support any anti-discrimination bill.
That's pending.
That's pending. And I would equal opportunity should be strengthened here in our country, especially in employment, entrepreneurship.
Okay, I'm curious, when they move from same-sex marriage to these same-sex civil unions or legal rights for long-term partners, are you open with that?
I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to debate about it. I'm not going to stand in the way in discussing that. I think we should talk about it. But if that comes into Congress, then I'm willing to talk about it.
Okay, this is purely curious. I mean, I ask most of the candidates, when you make a decision about, let's say, a preference on same-sex marriage, is faith or your religion the main factor?
I will not be lying and say it's not part. It really plays a very important role in my decision-making process. But that's not the only one. I also look at a lot of things. The world is changing, and we have to take note of that change, because we have to adapt also to the changing world, and that also plays into a big role in my decision-making.
Okay, is it time for the Philippines to already have divorce? Other than the Vatican, we're the only country left.
I'm against divorce. I think I said that in UP. But I think we should make it, we should have mechanisms for couples to separate. When violence is there, and when abuse is rampant in the relationship, when drug use is also rampant in the relationship, we should have that mechanism ready.
Now, you, in the 16th Congress, you were quite active, and yet, I mean, the anti-discrimination bill, let's face it, has been pending for so long.
Right.
And I mean, issues like this, divorce, same-sex marriage, was it really a priority at all in Congress?
I think, to be honest about it, Karen, from what I experienced, when the BBL came in, I think that became the whole issue, and the anti-discrimination bill took a back seat. Although I would really want it to be talked about and debated about, because that's very important in our society, especially now. I remember in our office there's a LGBT, and may partner na siya for 10 years. And he asked, hindi ko makalimutan to tinanong niya ako, what if I die? Paano yung binili naming lupa? Paano yung binili naming mga gamit? Anong mangyayari doon? So questions like this will come up, and that's why we have to talk about it early.
Okay, all right. Now, on another note, there's a lot of talk right now about amending the anti-money laundering law.
Yes.
Supposed to be with a lot of funds found, I mean, moving through in and out the casinos.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you exactly, what do you see? I don't know if you've studied it already for this interview, but what do you see as the major loophole of the anti-money laundering law when to begin with? Any country where there's a casino is used for laundering to begin with. Macau, Las Vegas, any country, basta may casino. You really launder money through casinos.
Yes, it's really very porous when you have casinos. It's really very porous.
Absolutely.
And changing hands is also very fast. That's why in countries like the Philippines, wherein casinos are legal and it's expanding, we really have to have strong regulation. In Vegas, regulation is very strong. It's also being regulated by the private sector. I think all of the casinos there are publicly listed.
I see.
So the public also comes into play when it comes to governance, when it comes to morality. when it comes to money laundering also. So I think it has to be a multi-sectoral, private government regulatory framework.
Okay, it seems to me you're a big fan of publicly listing things. I mean, based on experience.
Yes.
Should the public fear privatizing public hospitals?
It depends on the control. You can bring hospitals or government hospitals to public.
Like PGH.
Yeah, but
PGH.
government can still retain control.
Okay.
It can still own majority of the shares and control it, manage it. No? But what we need is independent analysts, independent eyes to look at how things are being done and managed in the facility. Because if government will just manage or regulate another government entity, then there's no check and balance. You don't have independent eyes checking all of these facilities.
Now, Sherwin, other than, of course, leadership by example and making sure that stopping corruption reaches the grassroots level, if I were to ask you, in the last 6 years of President Aquino's term, what is the one thing he could have done dramatically that he didn't?
I think if you ask me, I'm a big fan of automation. I'm a big fan of using technology. That's what we did in Valenzuela. And I remember in the States, I have some friends there. If you pay your income tax, you don't have to go to BRR or their IRS to line up. You can do it all in the internet. So it becomes very convenient for them. And it becomes easy lang. You can use your smartphone and pay your tax. So I think that's one thing that this government should have done, to really move forward with using technology, to eliminate corruption using technology, to make our lives easier using technology.
Do we need a broadband network? I mean, during the time of GMA, she had tried with NBN ZTE. I mean, a government-funded broadband network.
No, I don't agree with that. In fact, I don't agree with UST launching its free Wi-Fi.
Really?
I don't agree with that.
No, but then right now we just have Smart and Glow. We just have 2 players,
Okay.
and frankly, I mean, most of the time I'm looking for the signal.
Yes. We have to increase competition in telcos. A duopoly is really not healthy for this industry.
But aren't we really a duopoly market?
Not exactly. I think we can still invite another player, or maybe 2 more players to participate.
Okay. So why don't you agree with the DOST launching free Wi-Fi?
I think government has a bad track record of managing technology, because technology moves very, very fast. And we can outsource this broadband and this Wi-Fi. You can outsource it to, assuming the two telcos are efficiently providing service, we can outsource it to them. So you don't have to worry about upgrading your equipment, you don't have to worry about managing your equipment, you just have to pay them. And I think for a national broadband network, it's the same thing. In every year, you have new technology coming out, and you don't want government to keep on buying that technology. You can just outsource that.
Now, if Senator Grace Poe wins, she always says, I will make internet faster. How would you guys do that? I'm curious.
Sa akin, increase competition. I think we should add 1 or 2 more players to increase competition. I read in the internet, Telstra issued a lot of statement about the state of our telecom industry in the Philippines.
Supposed to be coming with San Miguel, no?
Supposedly, but basically Telstra is saying, you guys are getting the raw end of the bargain. It's expensive, it's slow, and the service sucks. And they're saying that they can offer better service, faster internet at 1/4 of the cost. So these are the type of organizations that we need in order to spur innovation.
All right. Now, someone may be watching, heard you for the first time. Why should they shade Gatchalian? What is your number on the ballot?
17.
Some people have that on their shirt already. Yeah, I was 17. Thinking you'd have it on your shirt or something. Okay, why should they shade 17 on the ballot? Why win? Okay. Why you?
3 things, Karen. Number 1 is my private sector experience. I bring in fresh perspective because I come from the private sector, and I always say this, sometimes when you work in the government for a very long time, you tend to have a myopic view of how things should be done inside government. So you have to bring in a fresh perspective inside government to change it. At the same time, my my government experience in Valenzuela also. That gave me good grasp of the real problems of our country, and that experience also will help me craft policies and legislation in the future. And number 3 is integrity. I think in Valenzuela we demonstrated that we have successfully fought corruption, making our processes efficient, and making sure that Valenzuela City is an efficient and professional organization.
On that note, Win Gatchalian,
Thank you,
good luck
Karen.
to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.